today we're going to share with you a little tour of the berm garden here, and this was one of our new garden additions for the season, and it's really given us the privacy that we really wanted and the unique flow and design of adding different heights throughout our flat property. And so we're going to go through and share some of our favorite perennials in there and some odd things that we just tried and threw some seeds in there of, and I think you guys will get a kick out of it.
Alright, so one of the cool things that we did with the berm to give it more height and privacy screening is we mixed green giant arborvitaes, because these are super fast growing, and then we've got these hybrid willow trees that we planted as well. When we planted these hybrid willows, this was it. It was probably only 2 feet tall. Now some of these things are, 7.5 feet tall, and they've got nice little trunks on them.
As you can see on the berm garden too, we have these beautiful, huge, long green vines. And those are actually pumpkins. I got a little creative, and after we were done planting all of the trees up there, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna throw little mounds of pumpkin seeds in there and see what happens. And now they're trailing down the berm right now, and over here, we actually have a little pumpkin up there. So far we're getting a few little pumpkins, so it's kind of cool to have an extra space to see pumpkins growing. And I'm really obsessed with the fall season, so anywhere I can jam in another pumpkin plant because I love decorating with them. They never go to waste. I like to just throw them in there. Even right over here, this one's actually probably the most healthy looking, the one that didn't get as much mildew on it. And the funny thing is that there's little pumpkins just forming now on this one.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And they actually have some aphids on there, so.
I love how this trails up though and came all the way down from the top.
And what's really cool is that each area where there's a pumpkin plant, some of the vines trail forward, but some of the other vines trail off the back of the hill. So it's like really cool, because I'm sure in the back, that's where we're gonna find more of the pumpkins because it's more protected. So now we're gonna move on to the perennials in the berm, and all of these perennials on the berm were given to us by Walter's Garden, and we are so appreciative and happy that they were willing to work alongside us and send us some amazing stuff to share with you and trial this season to see how it grew. And you really know more about how a perennial grows by the second and third season. But so far we are extremely happy because all of the perennials have actually grown already, and they've all blossomed for us this year. So they've sent us some really beautiful, happy plants. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of show you what we got.
So this here is called lemony lace. I really like this because it's almost like it's a miniature tree. I love the leaves on it and the little tree formation there. We only had 2 of these, so we placed them evenly kind of on each end of the berm.
So there's one there, and we've got the other one here. So they're spaced strategically so they don't look odd. And the lemony lace is more of a shrub, so that's gonna get pretty large. So that's why we gave it plenty of space to grow in there.
Yeah.
And in front of each lemony lace, we put a hibiscus in there.
The hibiscus is definitely one of my favorites because of this. A few times throughout the summer, especially when you come out here in the morning and they're all opened up, it's just, they look amazing and beautiful, and they were the first things to actually blossom with everything that we planted, so it was cool to have that color right away.
Right here we have the Firefly Peach Sky Yarrow by Proven Winners, and it's actually one of my favorites this year because when it came, it was kind of a taller foliage, and when you first plant a perennial for the season, it has to adjust to the soil and grow into the soil. So a lot of what was tall is kind of now dying back, and as you can see, look at all of this new beautiful growth for this yarrow. It's really coming in really nice, and I feel so confident that this is gonna come back just amazing next year. But this is all brand new growth. And right away, look at how it's blossoming again. So we've already seen, this has been blossoming actually all summer long. And then all I'm gonna do is just cut these off down to the ground. Usually I need a clippers, but these kind of just, you know, snap off pretty nice.
And this will probably still just keep growing right through the fall.
Oh yeah. Yep. And look how much nicer it looks now that it's all cleaned up. Real nice.
So this is one of my other favorites on the berm. This is the opening act Pinkadot. Fox is the type of perennial, but I like the dark maroon leaves with the combination of the white flower with a little bit of pink. So I like the accent of the dark purple with the green and then the pop of the white and pink.
And this is it just coming in blossom again, because it's usually just completely filled with those flowers.
So these were all, you know, flowers here, and you can see what they'll be coming back with.
And this here is my favorite phlox, Glamour Girl. And it's hot pink and it's so showy. When we first got it, it was all in complete blossom, just stunning. And right now we're just getting a few leftover blossoms, but by next year when it returns, it'll be in full force again. So I'm so excited to see what all of this looks like coming together again next season.
So this here is called sedum, and when we first planted it, all it was the light green foliage. And it's called Rock and Roll Boogie Woogie. Maybe that's why I like it so much. I love these names. But so it's recently started to get these flowers and tones of pink. So now we've got yellow added to the mix, we've got pink added to the mix, and some of the edges of the leaves are starting to get pink. So it's got a nice arrayment of texture and color now compared to just what it was.
Yep, and with the cooler weather, sedums always change with their color and are showy from summer through fall.
Yeah, I really like them.
And then bordering through the garden, we have to actually clean these. These are Magic Show Wizard of Oz. We place them throughout the garden and they get a true blue flower on them. Just absolutely gorgeous. But like I said, we really need to go through and trim them, because if we trimmed them back as soon as they were done, they would have just kept going for us. But I think we just kind of got overworked this season a little.
Yeah, we did. We just let things kind of take its course, and it's still beautiful the way that it is.
Yeah.
And I think we've enjoyed it much more because we did it that way.
Yes, just enjoying it as nature rather than having to always be perfect.
Right, exactly. Yep, set it and forget it. Yep. All right, another one of my favorites on the berm is Nephofia, partly because it's called Nephofia, and I love saying Nephofia. There's a lot of different varieties of this that we have, but overall, I love the height that they get. I like the reeded grass look, but then of course it's got these cool, you know, flower plumes that are coming out, and you can see that's going to take place here on this one here. And again, like Casey said with some of the other ones, once you start picking them off, new ones will be shooting up. But this is just what it's done naturally. All right, so if you guys thought this side of the berm was cool, just wait until you see what we got on the back side.
Lots of crazy wild stuff.
Yeah. So this was, you know, the main reason we did the berm was to give us blockage of the street and neighboring houses, and we definitely achieved that. So
yeah.
we got that down.
Over on this side of the berm, we did a lot of random seeding. So Jason's going up onto the berm to kind of share with you how tall it is. There it is. That's the biggest flower up there. These are the mammoth sunflowers, and all of these were seed saved from our field last year, so we spent no money on sunflowers at all this season. Well, other than a few in the raised beds, of course. But there's Jason. The willows. Yeah, look how tall those willows are. Stand next to that willow.
Let's get this one.
Okay, it was only a foot when we got it. And these are those fast-growing hybrid willows.
I can't even reach the top anymore.
Oh my goodness. So if you can't hear him, he's saying I can't even reach the top anymore. Because we really added those hybrid willows to give us immediate coverage, blockage, yeah. And we know that the green giant arborvitaes will end up just growing in and filling in on their own, but hey, why not stuff it in?
Right, exactly.
And I wanted to get kind of woodsy back here, real natural. So I'm gonna have Jason tell you a little bit about what we did back here.
So the back side of this berm is a mixture of wildflowers, perennial and annual. We did some grass seeding in here as well. A lot of that got drowned out, but it made for a nice mix. Corn, Casey threw random corn seed, sunflower seed, and everything just kind of came up on its own. And even some of the
Queen Anne's lace.
The Queen Anne's lace, which we love. You know, these are big butterfly attractors. These have started to appear naturally as well.
Yep, and they actually attract all beneficial bugs. Lots of ladybugs and bees. We've just been loving watching this all growing because we kind of want this to go wild, like our backyard where we have little sections where we just have like the wild weeds and wildflowers kind of going. And we know that a lot of this is going to die out next year, but that's why there's the grass seed in there. And what kind of grass seed did you do?
So it's a mix of rye and Kentucky bluegrass. It's kind of a common mix for Wisconsin, but it'll get to be probably about like 8 to 10 inches, and then it'll, you know, seed out. It won't really get any taller than that, so it's nice. It's not going to get too crazy. It'll be a nice length.
So you see the back of this berm fully grown in. We're going to show you the other berm right next to it, and you're going to see that one at a stage of 1. Stage 1 is what you're going to see it at. And that's kind of how this one looked when the seeds were first starting to pop up, with the mixture of wildflowers, grass, and all of the new little tree whips of those hybrid willows. You're going to get a good glance at what it looked like before. So this right here is the size that those hybrid willow whips were when they were first planted this season. We just planted some in here now as well. Willow whips are actually really easy to cut and grow on your own. You can literally cut a branch off of a willow, bush, tree, whatever, stick it in a vase of water, and what happens, Jason?
They explode. These ones are all doing really good. So these were planted, we've had a super hot summer, and these were planted towards the end of July. We had lots of 90-degree days. We kept a sprinkler on this berm non-stop for the last month, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that ensured that everything, you know, the willows like it wet, grass is taking off, all of the wildflower is taking off, so it's really filling in nicely. And then here you did, this is all pretty much perennial, right, for the wildflower?
Yeah, so in here I still do have some annual seeds because they germinate so quickly, and I thought, like, you know, once they germinate they kind of protect and keep those perennial seeds wet, because perennial seeds take a lot longer to germinate. A lot of the annual seeds can take anywhere from 4 to 8 days, whereas perennial seeds can take anywhere from 14 to 28 days. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just how it goes. So I feel like the annual seeds protected those perennial seeds. So a lot of what you're seeing now though are the perennials popping up, because I didn't do too many annual seeds. We also intermixed some of that grass that doesn't get super tall. It just gets to a certain height, seeds out, and helps fill in all those bare spaces. But a lot of what you're seeing popping up are the perennials. So we want a large area of just wildflowers, bring in more of the nature. We love nature. It's so good for your soul. It keeps you happy, it keeps you centered, and we believe that it creates a God's park when you have all these wild flowers growing in. You see all the insects coming in, the birds coming in, you can hear, smell, feel, touch. It's just amazing, and that's what we want to create in all of our new gardening spaces as we go on.
Very well said. That's exactly the feeling.
It is, yeah.
So back towards the end of May, maybe beginning of June, we had these corkscrew willows that were growing in some of our gardens in the garden oasis. And these get really big really quickly, like a lot of the willows, so we wanted to move them to the berm. So I transplanted both this one, which actually it ended up making it, and it's just finally started growing again, I would say in like the last few weeks. It pretty much kind of sat dormant. We've got another one over here that pretty much looks the same as this one, but it's kind of a cool, whoop, back there by that, you didn't like what I had to say. This one over here, this one didn't make it. So,
really? Because it looks like it did.
Yeah, so we transplanted both of them, and I watered them equally, but when you transplant trees, especially when you're not, you know, midsummer like that, it's not a good idea. Well, what ended up happening is it died. And you can see here, what I did is I cut, this is the old, I basically cut it with my Sawzall, here, here, here. I cut the whole thing down, and then about a week later, all of these little branches started coming up from the root. And this thing is now pretty much as big as the other bigger one that we transplanted. It's really cool how that works. All right, we hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of the September garden tour.
Everything's super huge. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So the next part 2 will be of another new garden edition, the kids garden, which is like no kids garden that you've seen before.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It is. Until next time.